Hello, Scott here again with another episode of Cowboy Counselor, Wild Times, Building Things We Need, and Fruitful Living. And you caught me playing with a pirate cutlass that I made a few years ago just to have fun with in the shop. So that is strictly just a toy for me, and it can be a dangerous toy. I think I accidentally cut myself with it one time, and I need to be more careful. So what I'm going to be working on today, I need a new hoof knife. I'm going to be trimming some horses, and I have been trimming some horses. And this is one that I would have made several years ago, and I've sharpened it down to the point that the hook has gone out of it. I never really liked the steel on this one anyways. I just don't remember it ever really sharpening up all that well. It was kind of grabby. So I'm going to try to make an improved version of this today because I'm going to need it within the next week to trim at least one horse that I know of that's coming here to the shop to get done. So let's get on it. Okay, as you can see, I've got my coal fire going in the background, and I've cut this piece of scrap steel that I think I want to use. This is actually out of a set of post hole diggers, so what we call clam diggers. I had several pairs of those laying around, and I found the steel to harden up pretty well. So I've cut myself enough of a piece here that I think I can make myself a short bladed hoof knife. And the first thing I need to do is level that out. So let's do that. Okay. This metal is pretty thin, so I don't need a lot of force to get this flattened out. Right now, I'm just going to try to get it flat. I need to be thinking about it's going to be a right-handed hoof knife, and so really I need the blade. Probably I'm going to have to straighten out this edge a little bit on the grinder. Okay, I've got it down into a configuration that I can start with. And even though I haven't even really started shaping on it yet, I'm going to go ahead and use a grinder and put a little bit of my edge into it just to get started on it. So I'm going to be putting some bends in this. I have my safety glasses on over my prescription glasses because about 3 weeks ago, I had to go into the eye doctor, eye surgeon, for the third time in my life and have a piece of steel extracted from my eye and then cleaned out with a little drill bit, which is just stupidity. And part of the problem is I try to use my prescription glasses just to grind and to weld. And sure enough, I got caught again and I shot something into my eye, and it was in there for a couple of days before I ever even realized it. And then it really started hurting. So then I had to get it taken care of. So from now on, it is, safety glasses over the top of everything. So here I go on grinding some of this to get the edge into it. Okay, we're going to drop this blade down a little bit. Yeah, like that. And then we'll have to put a bend the opposite way to go into the handle. Okay. I get easily confused in all these angles. I just have to stop and look. Maybe something about like that. Okay, put a curve into that blade so it'll kind of match that one. Okay, we'll go ahead and work off the horn here a little bit. Hopefully you can see that. Here we go. Need to put a hook in the end. We'll do that next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put that hook in the end. I don't want it too tight. I don't want it too big either. Let's see. Okay. See if we can tap that bend into it. There we go. I lost a little bit of the curvature of my blade, so I'm going to hammer that back in again. I suppose what it boils down to is I want the curvature of the blade to match the soul of the horse. And this is going to be a knife for a little bit bigger footed horse. I trim a few ponies that I have very small knives for. Okay, I think that's kind of the shape that I'm going for. At least I'm going to give that a try anyways. I'm going to go ahead and let that cool. I'm going to clean it up a little bit on the grinder, and I'm also going to start looking for a handle for this. I think I'm going to use antler because I have a ton of antler right now, and I've got some ends that I think will work really well for this. Okay, here's one of my antler bins. These are all just sheds that have been found up on the ranch. None of these are from animals that we harvested. They're all just antler sheds. Let's see. Okay. I think I may have found an end here that'll work. That's one of the last ends that I have that I haven't used for something else. And I've got a real issue because all these sheds that I have are absolutely beautiful. And I just have a hard time cutting these up into knife handles because they look so good in their natural form. And I may have to find some other artistic design for these and furniture or some other way to use them because, I mean, this is just an amazing mule deer antler. And I just can't see hacking it up right now for a hoof knife. Okay, you can see I've got my antler. I just went ahead and cut it back with a saw. And I've got it ready to drill a couple of holes through here that I can put pins in and then epoxy it into shape. Okay, I've got my blade pretty well cleaned up and roughed out. I've got an edge kind of cut into it. I went ahead and punched a couple of nail holes to match the drill holes that I have in my antler now. And the reason why I punched them is for some reason I rarely have a drill bit that's good enough that it'll make it through fairly good steel. And I'm so used to punching steel with one of those. So a punch that is just easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into the fire now. I'm going to bring it back up to heat, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into the oil to harden it. And then from there, I'll just be mounting it onto the antler. Okay, here we go into our hot oil quench. Keep my face out of the way so I don't burn my mustache off. Okay, I'm in the shop office now where it's warm. It's still frightfully cold here in Colorado for April. So this is what we've progressed on to. So I've got that all, got the antler cut. I've got that setting in there. I've got pins that are ready to put in. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to epoxy it. I'm going to go ahead and hammer my pins down in there and then just let it set overnight, and I'll resume work on it tomorrow. Looks like I maybe have just enough epoxy to get this project done. And that's about it. And if I come up a little short, I can always add some more. I think that's probably going to be enough. This is the stuff that comes out 50-50. It's just your run-of-the-mill hardware store. Oh, that stuff. I like the 5-minute set. I just use our fancy practice silverware to plastic silverware. I'm getting cold enough. I can't even hardly form words being out there in the shop. Go ahead and get a good mix on this. There's nothing worse than you build a knife or you make something that requires epoxy, and then you realize 24 hours later your epoxy never set. That's a heck of a mess to go back and try to undo. I think that is probably pretty good. I'm going to load some down into our antler. I don't need to be neat on this one because I might even add some sinew or some leather onto the antler because it's a little small for my hand. So if it doesn't grip right when I'm trying to use it, I'll just wrap it in something to kind of increase that width a little bit. My antler and get some on the blade. Both sides of the blade. This is what you would call like a half tang blade because it's only going into the end of the antler, because I doubt that it's ever going to come loose or break. Hoof knives just really don't have that much strain on them, and generally end up wearing them out within a year when you're full-time shoeing because you're sharpening on them so much. I don't trim enough horses anymore to really put that much work onto a knife, so I may have this one for a long time. See, I believe I had it that way, so I'm going to put that in like that. If you can see that, now I'm going to go ahead and pin it. I did those. As you can see, my pins are just nails. I usually just use whatever fits. I'm going to go ahead and hammer them on through if I need to. And then when all this dries, I'll just cut them off flush. And then maybe hammer them down a little bit just to kind of mushroom the steel. That one. Hammer. I'm going to plier them on through. How about that? There we go. And try to work some of my epoxy into my gaps, of which I have several. I'm liking the looks of that. I think I'm trimming a horse maybe this weekend. Maybe I'll have a chance to sharpen this up and give it a try. Okay, here's where we are now. And I'm going to let this sit overnight.